All right. So for our next question, which I think is really the question that a lot of listeners and viewers, are curious about, is that, as sales of PI firms continues to buzz throughout the industry, what range of multiples of EBITDA do you observe and do you foresee? And Seth, we'll start with you, please.
Sure. So, yeah, I would say that today we see everything from firms being untransactable to to you know deals happening that are still highly structured with no cash at close, especially with very small businesses with a high degree of key man dependency. Um, that will continue to occur. But what I would say is that for firms that fit the maturity curve that Jordan and I were just talking about, depending on their size. So if you have low key man dependency, if you have really good operations, a really good tech stack, high quality financials, your firm's really dialed in. To quote some friends of mine, it's been fireproofed, let's say. What we're seeing is that valuations range anywhere between from 3 to 6 times trailing 12 months EBITDA. And a lot of founders also don't understand exactly what EBITDA is. And remember, distributions go away unless you're taking on a minority stake where they're just buying a portion of the distributions. But for the most part, you've got to normalize that for founder or employee compensation. And so that's the typical trade range. We are occasionally seeing some mega shops be able to touch a little bit above a six. But we are at but you've got to be well north of 50, 60 million of EBITDA to touch above a six. You've got to have the ability to do serial acquisitions. Maybe you've already done some acquisitions. In your history, you've proven that you can add value to those companies that you've acquired. And then we're seeing a whole range of deal structures as well. And so, depending on all the metrics and how the business is looking across all the dimensions that we talked about, we're still seeing a number of, we see everything from 30% cash at close, 3-year earnout or 3-year seller's note, a third rollover equity. We see deals that are 60 to 70% cash at close, then with 35% rollover. The deal structure is the other aspect of this. And so valuation, deal structure, play into this. But there are very few deals where you're just walking away with, well, really no deal that we've seen where you're just walking away with all your cash at close. These industries, the valuations won't move much from here for some time. And this happens at the beginning of every single cycle when an industry begins to consolidate until someone has realized an exit and we understand what is someone going to pay us next for this asset. Think of a redeveloping community where you are going in and let's say you're redeveloping, a portion of a city that has been kind of left for ruin. You're the first one coming in. You just don't know how it's going to go for a period of time. Other people might follow you, but they're not going to pay more than what you did. What you're waiting to see happening as a developer is when I'm ready to sell this property, once a lot of people have followed me in here and this has really taken root, what is the next buyer going to pay? That is when we start to see valuations go up or go down. And they don't always go up. I mean, the biggest concern I'd say that we have here is that someone comes in and does this poorly. Someone does this unethically. Someone destroys value. They buy a firm. They think they know what they're doing and they mess it up. And then they're going to mess it up for everybody. Right. So these are the things that we're concerned about. But valuations really kind of stay stuck in a range once that range is determined for a period of time until such time that there's been a next transaction. Everyone kind of draws corollaries here to the CPA space. And it wasn't until, Citron Cooperman sold to Blackstone 4 or 5 years after that platform and 30 others had been created that we then saw a rise in valuations, both for platforms and for add-ons. So these things take time to develop.